in that beautiful Rolt RT41, I'm told. Here we go then. The number 3 on the right-hand side leads the field to the final complex. Our man Ron doing the business. He's dogged in determination, is our Ron, when he's coming to his camera work. And here comes the number 19 of Nick Persing alongside. This should be a good battle because Nick Persing is no fool. He is a current FR participant, and Stuart Crow will know he's been in a race. Here we go. Persing already coming out and taking the lead. Was it too early, I wonder? I don't think so, but they're side by side as they go up to the first turn, and I have to say something's going to give, and Crow gets through. Whoa, we've got one spinner though. 2 cars involved. A couple of guys having to take avoiding action. 3 cars involved in that incident at the Mission Foods. Stop for a snack, boys, because they've both gone off there, and that could cause a safety car. But away they go, and we've got a group of 5 at the front. And Scott, it looked as though it was going to be a clean start. Persing tried to get ahead of Stuart Crow, couldn't quite make it up because of the way the track is here. If you've got that inside line, you're going to take it, aren't you?
Yeah, Stuart Crow, again, he had some trouble working through the Ligiers, and I believe that, judging from yesterday, he said, I need to stay in front of that Ligier. I need to be in front by the first turn. And Persing tried his best, but couldn't quite get that job done as Crow led. Looked like there was kind of some cold tires on a cold track. Yeah. It looks sunny out here, and it's very nice up here, but if you go outside, it's very windy, and that affects the track temperature. And again, if you don't get enough heat in these tires, doesn't matter what type of car you have or what type of tires, and these are different tires than what we usually see in the FR Americas and F4 US series. It still needs to get heat in those, and if you try to stomp on it too fast, they just go right around on you. Yeah,
and I think those 2 pace cars would have done nothing more than cool those tires rather than keep them heated, because that 1 pace car, you kind of get up to temperature. Right. You've got the, you've got that position of 1 lap, but then suddenly 2 laps at slow pace does not put mechanical grip or heat into those tires. And now Nick Persing starting to make his way on an overtake on the outside, excuse me. Can he make it stick this time? He tried it on the first lap. He's done it this time out.
And you said Persing, he is a professional driver. Crow was a factory driver for Rolt America. He won the Formula Super V Championship, finished 3rd in the Formula Atlantic Championship. I believe his next race that he'll be with us is at Mid-Ohio.
That's right.
In that championship Formula Atlantic series that he ran when he finished 3rd. But he is an accomplished driver. And again, this was a good battle yesterday. I believe Crow finally able to pull away, but Persing, the best, I would say, of this exclusive group out here on the West Coast.
Yep, and I'm always interested to see. There's a lot more drivers now, and I'm sure Ben can talk to this. Look at Crow coming back at him. I knew this would be a good race. Into the hairpin they come. Crow looking on the outside, but nice defensive driving from Persing. And he holds the position. A switch back, though, by Crow. Gets out of line a little bit. It's slippy there. He goes over the rumple strips. Loses out on that battle, but he's got the measure for him coming into there. And now we head down to the Franklin Road S's. And this is going to be a good battle. And 3rd place now starting to catch up.
Now, I'm surprised that he went over the rumble strips. A lot of the cars, production cars, basically, you can do that. You don't lose any time. These Formula cars do not like the rumble strips. You usually just touch them. You don't go over them. So a little surprised, and that tells you how hard Crow is pushing.
Yep. And Alex Kirby, while these 2 fight, is catching up in 3rd place in the 8B. As we take a look at the 37, that's Horick. And this is starting to roll into a really good race here at the moment.
Now Persing arrived a little bit later on in the week, but Kirby and Horick were 2 of the top drivers before Persing arrived in this particular group. So they may take a little bit longer to catch up, but I believe they might become part of this battle before the race is done. And as we were talking yesterday, Ben and Jonathan, that this track is very technical. You're very busy on this track. And these cars especially, the production cars, the GT cars, Trans Am cars, we see them sliding back and forth. Not so in this. These are precision, purpose-built Formula cars. That car responds.
Big time, yeah. I mean, it's, you've got to be so precise with these cars. You can't be messing about. There's no lag. If you turn it, it's going. And the response, the torque, etc., very, very input heavy. As we look at the number 14, that's John Purcell in that Ligier JSF3 from 2020, another modern car.
So just an easy way for you to keep up with keep it up at home. The F3 cars have that halo like the modern F1 cars. But I was talking to Stuart Crow at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, and he's had that car since brand new. And the beauty of vintage racing is he's still developing the car. He says there's still more speed in that Ralt RT41, and they're still developing it. So how cool is that?
And those Ralt RT41s, they were kind of brought along late in the Formula Atlantic era. And a lot of those cars, after they were phased out of Formula Atlantic, you'll see a lot of them as the basis for prototype cars. I know Jacek Muka, I believe, has a Ralt RT41, but he puts bodywork on it and becomes a prototype. I believe he has a Mazda engine in his.
You can really see how low, like John Purcell's F3 car is. When he gets up against that wall, he's just lost. They really are very sleek. And talking to Ernie Francis, coming from a TA car into that, he didn't know how physical these open-wheel cars are. And you can see as they come down the Franklin Road complex, they're really, really bumpy. And even Ernie Francis, you've seen him now, he's had to gain a lot of muscle because it's such a physical drive with all the downforce and the G-forces that they're experiencing.
Yeah, no question about it. And you're so low to the ground, the suspension's so stiff. That's why they don't like the rumble strips, as we just mentioned. And this is the training for, you know, for the big time. And of course, Indy race here, and have done for many years. NASCAR race here, and that's what's kept this circuit, along with Trans Am, at the forefront of American racing. Just a great place to come. But going back to the temperature, yeah, it's early in the morning, and we're in April. It's not often we race at Sonoma this early in the year, but California at this time of the year, if you don't know, starts off cool, warms up, and then cools down again at night in the evening, and that's nice, but it ain't great for racing early morning or late evening.
Now the tires don't like the cool, but the engines do.
Yes, they
usually
do.
When it's cooler, you get a little bit more horsepower out of the engines, and that may have come into play when those two cars first spun as well. We had all three Johnstons down at Monterey last week, and we had Brett, James, and James Jr. If they all come down from Colorado, Brett usually has the Formula Mazda, and James has the Swift.
We're on following Brett Johnston right now.
That's that 2004. Right. That's the Pro Formula Mazda I was telling you about.
About to be overtaken by that number 11,
Rob
Steve Martin. Who is that?
I think that's Rob Moores in the Ralt RT5.
Yeah, it's 11 and 11A. I think that's a Ralt also, Ben, but I'm not positive.
It looks like that's not a Formula Mazda. But either way, the yellow car has just overtaken.
Well,
Brett
the reason
Johnston.
I say that's an 82, and it looks like an older car, a more 80s
right.
kind of car. That's all.
I think you're right.
I'm not 100%, but the 11A.
Nope, you're right. You're right. So yeah, that's Rob Moore. Sorry about that. I'm all confused, guys.
Yeah, it's interesting to see that's an earlier version of the Formula Mazda overtaking the later version of the Formula Mazda. The early Formula Mazdas, and again, a lot of drivers came up through them, but this was a great concept. You know, it was a spec series, obviously sponsored by Mazda, and they had great fields. They were support races. I know they were support races at Long Beach Grand Prix and a lot of races. So not only were you learning your craft and learning how to drive these cars, they were, you know, spec cars, so to speak, and they were equal. You were learning your racecraft, but you're also in front of large crowds, so you were being exposed to the series that you were hoping to get into. Great concept.
Yep, no question about it. As we go back to a more modern car number 15, and that is the Halo and the current FR car.
The Swift 014A that should have been up towards the front that James Johnson usually has, that is a very potent car. It was very capable of SCCA national championships. It won 10 of them in a row. And again, Jonathan Ben, you might recognize this driver in 2005. And again, it used to be you came through SCCA club racing to get your talents there, and then you would go into professional racing. But in 2005, a guy you may have heard of named Graham Rahal won the national championship.
Yes.
And it was in a Swift 014A, not this same car, but in a car similar to it.
Where did Bobby come through? I'm thinking Atlantic.
Bobby came through Atlantic, I believe.
Yeah, that would make sense.
And then he went into IMSA. He was very prominent in IMSA, and then I believe he went on from there. But
some good battles going on here. I'm watching five-way battle here, just coming through turn 2. As we look down on the battle ahead of them as they go through 3 and up over the crest down towards the very treacherous turn 5. But it's Crow, Persing, and Kirby at the moment, the top 3. 5 minutes to go, just over.
And this playing out a little bit like it did yesterday. Crow had a little bit more trouble yesterday getting through the FR America 4 and the F4 US 3. But he was out front that very first turn, and he has lengthened his lead. again, it doesn't sound like a lot, and a lot of times you'll hear us say, well, he's a 1/10 of a second faster here on this lap, a 1/10 of a second faster, but you start adding those up over a 2.5 mile or 2.52 mile circuit, and all of a sudden it's a 2 or 3 second lead.
And we'll take a closer look for the first time at 77A. That is Derry O'Donovan in the Mazda. 1996, this car.
It's a really cool wrap on this car. It changes colors. It's a little bit of a color changing car. Look at how fast they're coming through. Now the downforce is working for them as they come through that Franklin Road Apparel Complex. And we've got viewers already watching from Costa Rica and the UK.
Good deal. Well, I know that the UK fans love their single-seater racing. They're always interested to see what's going on the other side of the pond, as we took a look at a man who won yesterday in SVRA. That, of course, that's the 17A, if I got it right, because Gear Ramleth is in the number 17. I'm just looking if there's a 17A.
Yeah, John Holmes.
Okay.
Ramleth was out there this morning, even earlier than what he's on track now. He won over Travis Incan in the Lotus 23B. And I was talking to Travis at breakfast this morning. I said, Travis, you have these 3 different cars. They're not even anywhere similar. So, how do you do that? He says, well, now think of it. If you're in a car and you get in a truck, it's kind of the same thing. He's, yeah, about it anymore.
It's a good point. I mean, you think about, you know, the traveling we all do, and the cars that you pick up at the airport, and they can be tiny or they can be huge, but you adapt.
And speaking of adapting, you know, we were talking about the drivers coming up through the day. You were talking about Formula 4 drivers that went into Formula 1. We were talking about drivers went into Indy. You know, it's very difficult to come from a Formula 4 single-seater that has skinny tires, has no downforce, has basically no grip. You basically have to really kind of hang on to a Formula car, which has wings, it has downforce. All of a sudden, the brake marker that used to be 1 now is maybe you have to go 10, 15 feet deeper, or you know you can, and that's the only way that you can stay competitive. It's such a difference to drive a car with the wing. You just don't realize how much downforce and how much aerodynamics come into play on those wings in the Formula cars.
Yeah, you know, that's the first thing that a Carl Kirkwood or anybody else will tell me when they go up the ranks. I say, what's the biggest difference? And they say, braking and knowing that the car will brake, and the sheer speed at which you can go through the corners, and confidence to know that the wings and the aerodynamics of the car will get you through that corner. Because
speaking of, look at this. You can really see now the downforce is coming to Stuart Crow, who's our new leader. Took over Nick Persing, so we're following along with Stuart Crow, and you can really see coming through that Franklin Road Apparel Complex just how the tires, the downforce is working. You have to get into a rhythm. Is our new leader, Stuart Crow, as he comes through Big Machine Vodka Spike Coolers, turn 11, followed by Nick Persing.
Last lap coming up. Here comes the white flag. No, it's the checkered flag. The white flag was the others. Checkered flag, then this is going to be a win. And it's Stuart Crow then, crossing the line for the win.
And he's picking up just where he left off last year. He was dominant on the West Coast. He won the 2 rounds at Auto Club Speedway, the first SVRA SpeedTour event. Won the last weekend the 2, and now has swept the weekend here.
Nicely done then. Crow with the win. Nick Persing in the number 99, taking 2nd place in that Ligier JS F3, and will continue his FR Championship of 2022 very soon. Kirby in 3rd place, Horrick in 4th, Purcell 5th, and the number 11 of Rob Moores taking 6th place.
Now the same team that handles that Stuart Crow, Rault also handles Mark Smith's Formula 4, so he'll be out in action, Mark Smith, a little bit later in the day, but that same team will be taking care of that Formula 4 too. They'll be going for another win.
Got some great action yesterday, looking forward to more today. And we've got a full day of big action here from Sonoma, so if you're just tuning in around our live stream, welcome from Great Britain, from all over the world.
And Chile.
Chile, we
have a viewer from Chile. Welcome.
Very welcome.
We're international. I'd like to also, if you'd allow me, Jonathan Ben, say hi to my dad, Ed Conway.
Hey, Ed!
He's watching at home in Conyers, Georgia. My dad, that's the reason that I'm here, is because my dad...
Well, there's 2 reasons. Both your dad and your dad.
And I'd like to say hi to him and my stepmother, Pat, who celebrated her birthday a little earlier this weekend.
There you go. Happy Mother's Day next week, too.